Armio, Shire, Spirit, Armio, Harski, Dawas, War, Darnet.
Oh yeah, look at that squat form. Somebody's been watching Knees Over Toes guy. Yes, yes, that's you, Oxyotl. Adorable, you know, at the same time, extremely badass. Chaos Destroying Chameleon Skink Lord is here. I haven't brought too many of his abilities, just Slippery. We'll take a look at his other abilities after the battle. I didn't think they were going to be super cost effective here, mainly because one of Oxyotl's biggest benefits is that he is dirt cheap. 1100 points in the kit I brought him here. Poison weapon strength, poison melee attacks, 50 melee attack, 45 defense, 400 weapon strength, 30 armor is not great, pretty low HP as well, but 40% missile resistance, as all chameleons do, and of course poison and armor piercing, magical 120 range blowpipe. So let's take a look at the rest of the builds here before we get too crazy. Skink skirmishers, we've got the Quaddle, the brand new monster, well, one of two monsters actually for the Lizardmen, kind of lightning bird here, very cool looking. It's got a few abilities, again we'll talk more about this guy in its own video, but stock everything underneath it, specifically not flying units in a 40-meter radius. Also gets Uranus Thunderbolt and Lesser Chain Lightning bound spells. Got the Skink Oracle, new character on the Troglodyte mount, also can be brought as a unit. Armor piercing, oh, no eyes too, very cool. Armor piercing, anti-lard, poison, weapon strength, 120 range, not too much ammunition, not quite as good. I think it's more or less the same combat stats as a Carnosaur, maybe a little bit less armor piercing or no anti-large bonus in melee as well, but very similar. We've also got a Scarvet, got some of the new Skink infantry. They are chameleons, but they've got precursor weapons, which is the first time we've seen this. It's sort of like what the Skink javelins and minus with charges have, although it behaves slightly differently. I do hope they implement this behavior for the units I just mentioned. But anyway, like if you played Rome 2 at all, these are just like the javelins on like your Roman legionaries and stuff. They'll throw them before they charge if they're off fire at will. If they're on fire at will, they'll just throw them at whatever comes into range. They have these little explosive, I don't know if they throw like bolas or like explosive, I guess they got explosive blowpipes. Anyway, very cool. Also, pretty decent melee stats. Only 68 unit models like regular chameleon skinks, but 22 attack, 36 defense. Okay, weapon strength. I mean, their stats are not amazing, especially for how low their model count is, but physical resistance, Vanguard deployment, and Strider. Kind of a weird unit. I don't know how good they're going to be, honestly, at their current implementation. But anyway, got the Crowfather here with some Harpies, Ungor Raiders, Tuskor Chariots charging in, Bestigor Herd as well in the front line, Koroks Man Rippers, so heavy Bestigor front line. The Blood Brute Behemoth, Regiment of Renown Gorgon as well. Again, we'll get to him in his own video. But we're going to pull away this unit of Bestigor Herd on the flank here, and Oxyotl for the time being is just going to stick with these Skink skirmishers to a degree and just kind of skirmish in on this flank. Lesser Chain Lightning did get canceled out there, but we've got the Uranus Thunderbolt coming down, and the Quaddle, you can see, is on the ground. Is it? Yes, this is what it looks like on the ground. Going to be fighting the Gorgon here alongside my Skink Oracle. Skink Oracle does have Harmonic Convergence and Earth Blood. Again, I'll talk about him in his own video, but yeah, here he has Harmonic Convergence and Earth Blood, so he can keep sustaining himself. The Harmonic Convergence obviously makes him have much better melee stats, and actually combined with the Sora Scarvet, they kind of beat down the Blood Brute there, which is pretty nice. Let's see though, still plenty of time left. Igor's been summoned on the battlefield, and Malagor, 121 speed on Malagor is one of the fastest units in the game now. 121 speed, of course, with that Primal Fury active. But anyway, Quaddle's gonna fly back over. Oxyotl's just chilling in the back still. Slippery's been popped, mostly keeping a low profile, just chunking down a few Bestigors here and there. He does have quite a bit of ammunition over the course of a long battle, so I don't really need to worry too much right now. But potentially going to have some problems as the Gorgon kind of cycles back. It does regenerate in melee, of course, and the Regiment of Renown also has scaling damage as well as Frenzy. So it's going to be quite good. Frenzy did get a buff, and also Poison, as I mentioned probably in previous videos, did get a little bit of a nerf. It's down to 15% speed, weapon strength, armor piercing, all that jazz, rather than, I think it was 20% before. Anyway. Sora Scarvet suddenly gets cornered, Crowfather comes to the ground, and of course, Scarvet's anti-large doesn't apply to the Crowfather or the Bestigor. And 400 weapon strength on Malagor, 55 attack, definitely no pushover, so the Sora Scarvet, man, the charge bonus on those Bestigor too, he just gets very quickly melted, and suddenly things are not looking good for me at all. Tuskor Chariots running through the various Skink lines here. I do still have this full line of Skink Skirmishers though, and they're pretty healthy. There's not a lot of threats that could actually catch them. They can poison and out-skirmish all the Beastmen infantry. The Gorgon also doesn't want to over-pursue, try and get them. The Chariots are somewhat of a danger. They're probably the most dangerous units. Harpies, again, they're pretty light. They'll get screened out by the missiles if I can shoot them while they're approaching. Waddle comes down to try and deal with the Chariots because I kind of know, like, I don't want to fight single entity combat against the Gorgon if I can avoid it. Just try and take out all the Chariots that I can, but its attack animations, I still need to do some testing with the Quaddle and really get a feel for its attack animations, but here, it kind of gets stuck on the ground and stuck between some Chariots. Malagor also, yeah, you can see the Chariots if I kind of bring up the unit base. You can see the Chariots are blocking it in here, even though it seems like it should be able to just fly directly over them. And it gets completely destroyed. So there's another tool for me gone. I now have no terror to deal with the Beastmen, as the Oracle also got silenced earlier after his little timing push wore off. But guess who's still alive? The Doom guy, Skink. That's right. Gonna get swarmed by Harpies here. He cares not for these thoughts and will easily outrun them. Probably kill a few of them on the way as well. I do need to start conserving my ammo, though, and saving it for some of these more high-value targets if I want to have any chance of coming back in this battle. I do feel that the balance of power is somewhat falsely inflated here. Like, I'm not really sure. I mean, I get the Gorgon's very healthy. Malagor's also very healthy, which is what's weighing, I think, so heavily on the balance of power. But these Skink Skirmishers, they're continuing to skirmish back. The Tuskor Chariots at 80 armor take significant damage from the Skink Skirmishers, and although they are getting some damage on the one unit, they are paying a pretty hefty price for doing so. These happy pigs quickly turning sad. Oh yeah, bad day for the pigs. So they're going to rout, and we're trying to rally together what infantry we have. I've got a handful of Sora Spears, handful of Skinks here, so both of us kind of resetting our lines. The Quaddle does come back very briefly, less than 200 HP, so I mean, I think I might have one more Uranus Thunderbolt with it. I'm just going to try and fly it back and make use of that if I can. Chameleon Stalkers also. Swole Chameleons getting routed. They didn't really do much here. Yeah, they're not really the greatest unit, to be honest, from what I've seen, but jury's still out on that. It's very early to tell. We'll fast forward a little bit as we both kind of realign here. It does look like the Swole Millions come back briefly and get routed. But Oxyotl. So this whole time that we've just been reorganizing, Oxyotl's been plinking it at whatever targets I deem worthy. Right there, that was Korok's Man Rippers. So if we have a look, he's used up a good amount of his ammunition already. He's still got 24 shots left and generated 593 value. So hasn't quite paid for himself yet. Granted, again, the kit I brought him here is about 1,100 points. So let's see what he can do. Saurus getting finished off by the Raiders there is tough. I really want those Sora Spears to try and fight the Blood Brute if I can. And the Sora Scarvet as well, if it can fight these Chariots. But let's see. Chariots are going to come in here. They do not actually get a hit on the Scarvet. He manages to not take any damage there. The Blood Brute looked like he was going to charge him, but my handful of Skink Skirmishers do still have a tiny bit of ammunition left. I say handful. They're still quite healthy, actually. So, as a result, the Scarvet manages to tear down the Tuskor Chariots, and the Saurus Spears also get in combat. But look! Another Cygor summon! Oh no! Another full health monster to deal with. I mean, granted, it also has a timer on it. So if I can just survive that amount of time, we can win this battle still, maybe. It's really looking grim at this point. Yeah, there's still a handful of Bestigors here as well. Oxyotl. He has a mission, though. and he knows this mission well. It is to not rip and tear. Shoot and scoot. Yes, that is the technical term for it. Shoot and scoot against these big monsters here. He's going to be focused on the Blood Brute Behemoth first and foremost, because it can regenerate while in melee combat. I want to try and kill it with ranged attacks, obviously, right? Also, if Malagor presents himself, he is 100% a valid target as well. Man, that Cygor did a little bit of friendly fire, a little bit of Flock of Doom as well. Does shatter the Skink skirmishers. Not quite shatter, I should say. They may come back. This unit also comes back, has a tiny bit of ammunition left here. But the Bestigor, 159 kills. I see some XP Chevron action. Probably will get good damage value. We'll check that in the end. But Oxyotl here, just teeing off on Malagor as he kind of flies above. Starting to run low, 17 ammunition, so we've used some more shots. Since last time we checked, what was that? 7 shots? And the Skink Skirmishers using up the last of their ammunition, mostly just trying to deal leadership damage to the Beastmen infantry here, these Bestigor. You can see, if we look, under missile fire, and I think under missile fire from the flank specifically is another modifier. Kind of hard to see there as it quickly pops in and out, but Summon Cygor does go down, so we're able to kite that out fairly effectively while still fulfilling attacking rules. The Gorgon gets into melee, though. That's a problem. That is a problem, and immediately these Skinks are probably going to get terrified. Actually, no, their leadership holding up okay for now. These other Skinks immediately get terrified, though, and then these ones a short time later. So that does leave the Blood Brute without being in melee combat. Let's run with Oxyotl, though. Well, he actually has a little scatter shot. Is that like a multi-shot? 3 shots per volley, indeed. 72 armor piercing, 24 base damage, and he finishes the Gorgon. Alright, 1 high-value target down, and now is when I feel the balance power is pretty falsely inflated for the Beastmen, because, I mean, realistically, I can easily kite out all of these. Bestigor Herd, no problem. Tuskor Chariot's really not a threat. Ungor Raiders will die in melee, and I think Oxyotl probably beats... I mean, he has a very similar stat line to Malagor, just with poison, which means he probably wins, right? It will come down to a bit of RNG, but especially given that Malagor's taken so much damage over the course of the battle, I am actually, at this point, very confident that I will win this battle, despite what the balance of power may say. So Doom Skink gets run over. Quick little... I don't know if that actually counted as a shot or if that's a melee attack animation, but anyway. Aurochs Man Rippers actually get routed by the Skinks there due to their numbers. Ooh, we do get a shot. Last shot finishing off the Tuskors there. And now the charge of the Skinks. They're actually probably not even going to make it into combat against these Ungor Raiders, but all that matters is that Oxyotl is able to use up his 7 more ammunition, shooting at whatever high-value targets. Do pop a cold-blooded there. Man, look at Malagor's charge animation. I know it's kind of far for that, but we'll get in close with Oxyotl. Haven't had too many close-ups of him, but to be honest, he kind of... his whole thing is flying under the radar and yet still doing some great damage, so he's actually going to use his blowpipe in melee now. Just charge straight through the Ungors. No problem chatting through them, trying to get to Malagor. Malagor actually flies away. Pops Enfeebling Foe, so my melee stats are significantly nerfed, 26-21, but still, I mean, 26 melee attack is still not quite minimum hit chance. And as Malagor kind of runs away there, he exposes his back and takes an attack right in the back from Malagor, from Oxyotl. Malagor getting routed there, and that is going to be pretty much game. All that matters is now for Oxyotl to finish off the Ungor Raiders, and this is ridiculously close battle. Very well played turn, my opponent, of course. You may see this on his channel as well, given how awesome of a battle it is. Yeah, to be fair, Oxyotl more than doubled his damage value and 100% carried the late game there. If you had a more combat-oriented character with speed, like you'll see in some other battles, that Oxyotl does get beat down by Taurox in the melee fight, obviously. That may have turned out differently, but like Turn's build, relatively narrow, is recovering from surgery, so it's to be expected, but very effective. Bestigor, super underrated unit, honestly. Very, very strong. Tuskor Chariot's also very cost-effective here. Great job with the Blood Brute Behemoth. They will consistently perform against large monstrous targets. Malagor does okay. We don't see the Cygor summon value, but yeah, a lot of my stuff getting shut down pretty hard. Oracle does manage to eke out some pretty good value. I think he's like 2,400 points like this. Sora Spears are pretty good in this matchup. Million Stalkers, not so much. Yeah, the javelins do pretty decently. Skink skirmishers also helped carry that pretty significantly as well. Quaddle didn't do much damage at all, so it's kind of a little bit of a waste, but still learning how to use that thing, to be fair. But yeah, Oxyotl, man, such a beast slayer. Just absolutely relentless, and I guess, given his lore of surviving the actual Chaos Realm, makes sense why he would excel in that type of a situation where it's him against the world, right? So, in all seriousness, Oxyotl, with his abilities, did not showcase them here. We can quickly just kind of show you guys what's up. And maybe just shoot some poor Marauder Chieftain here. Does this count as anti-large? Anyway, he has this item, Golden Blowpipe of Patui. Good armor-piercing damage, effective at close range, good from a high angle, strong versus single combatant, poor penetration. So it doesn't look like it'll be able to side-shot through infantry, but let's try it against, you know what, we'll do a Mammoth. Why not? Why not a Mammoth? That's going to give us extremely one-sided odds, obviously, but let's go on over to Glacial Lake. Of course, the true place of testing, and maybe we'll have a Saurus Scarvet on foot just to help balance power from getting too crazy. He also has that other ability, of course, that I highlighted over, you may have seen, gives him less speed, like he gets significantly slower, but he does gain Snipe and Unspottable, and he already is very tough to spot, like one of the closest spot ranges in the game. But yeah, this thing here, Snipe, Unspottable, 20% range, which really only equals, what, 24 extra range? Not a ton, but it's something. 25%, sorry, speed and charge speed. I don't know, given the amount you pay for this, it's like 100 and something, 200 gold. I'll have to look. I don't think it's going to be cost effective. Let's see this Golden Blowpipe of Patui, though. 200 meter range, so we should be able to do that just immediately, no problem. And apparently he has a very cool casting animation for this, so... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ha 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 ha! Very cool. Okay, so it's like a little bit of a multi-shot there. Interesting, we all learned something new. I actually had not used that ability, or like watched myself use it, but anyway. And now pop Slippery. Master Predator, I mean... Oxyotl 68 speed base. That is pretty crazy, to be honest. Or not base, but with Slippery. And now... gives him Stalk and Snipe and Unspottable, which is nice. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be good in some situations, but against a really high-skilled player, like, they'll be able to actually just track visually where the missiles are coming from. They're a little bit hard to see, but given the kind of bright green color, you may be able to find them relatively easily. And it should be noted, an active state. Like, you can deactivate it there. It takes 1 second, and then again, I can reactivate it, right? So it's kind of like the war dances, in that you can keep it up as an active state. The extra range, given that it puts you to 120 and 140, like, I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think of units that would be within that range that would kind of be good to outrange. Also, if your opponent doesn't have any mobility, or you can, you know, significantly limit their mobility early on in the battle, this might be better, because he's still faster than most infantry at 41 speed. So, maybe this will see use. Really, the reason I don't think it's going to be wildly good is it's not super useful. Like, it's okay, don't get me wrong, it's nice. But given that Oxyotl is so cheap already, I don't know. Like, him being so cost-effective, the fact this is so expensive makes him that much less cost-effective, and I just think making him as cheap as possible is really going to be beneficial, which is why I also didn't take this Golden Blowpipe of Patui. But anyway, that's my video for today on Oxyotl. We'll be covering more early access, so be sure to subscribe for that, like the video, share it if you found it useful. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.